Love is the most powerful force in the world. I believe we all have tremendous amounts of love in our hearts, in our body, and in our souls. And as we exercise that love on everything around us, our world becomes great. I believe we are all crazy enough to change this world. You might be sitting watching this video thinking, but I have all these problems and I have all these challenges. I'm not good looking enough. I'm overweight. I have acne. I'm fighting with my friends. My parents and I aren't getting along. I just am stuck. I feel like I don't even matter. Some of you feel like your life is wasted or that you need to be perfect. I've experienced those same things. And here's my story about how I overcame that. One summer day, I decided to go on a bike ride from the bottom of Bogus Basin to the top. It's a 16-mile hill that's grueling. As I flung my leg over my bike, the temperature gauge on my computer read 94 degrees. I started pedaling. I felt the sweat flowing. I felt the heat of the day beating down, the sweat dripping off my brow. And as I pedaled, my heart opened up, my legs opened up, and my lungs opened up, and I raced to the top of the hill. And when I got to the top, I looked down at my computer and it said 1 hour and 5 minutes and some change. It was the fastest I had ever raced to the top of Bogus. I was excited, I was elated, I was high-fiving, I was jumping, I was pumping. Man, life was good. When you ride to the top of the hill, you then have to turn around and ride back down. In all the enthusiasm, the euphoric feeling, I turned around and took that energy, harnessed it, and raced down the hill. My friend Greg racing right behind me, not too far off my tail. And as I was navigating the corners about 2 miles down the hill, I came into a corner just a little bit hot at 42 miles an hour, and I hit a small patch of dirt. Just enough that my front wheel chattered just a couple inches. I knew I was in trouble. I had two choices. One, I could scrub speed, or two, I could lay my bike down. I thought that if I did both, I might have a better chance of getting through the corner. And when I did, I locked my front brakes up. I immediately flipped over my handlebars and I impacted the cement. It first impacted with my shoulder. The charge went through my body. My helmet smashed into the cement. I felt the impact radiate through my neck. And then I felt myself sliding uncontrollably for over 50 feet and into a cement barrier that's used to safeguard cars from going off the edge of the cliff. When I impacted that, I felt every bone in my body creak. I had wrecked. Shortly after this, Greg came around the corner and looked at the scene and saw water bottles and glasses and computers and broken bike parts all over the place while I was laying there bleeding with bones broken. What started off as an amazing ride that day turned into an epic wreck. A wreck that changed my life forever. I'll never forget Greg walking up to me and putting his arms around me and feeling him exercise his love that he has inside him. He put his arms around me and I felt enveloped in love. The love that you feel from your parents, the love that you feel from your friends, or when you're in need and you go to that special place and you feel that love. I knew I was in trouble. Greg started searching me from head to toe, making sure that I wasn't bleeding or bones were broken, and he asked me to raise my arms, and as I did, my right arm went up in the air, my left arm stayed still. He asked me to raise my arm again. I did the same thing, and my right arm went up in the air. My left was not moving. As I reached up to feel my collarbone, I felt a bone displaced poking through my jersey. It hadn't broken through the skin, but it was clearly displaced. I broke my clavicle in 3 spots. I separated my AC joint, and I had fractured my scapula. I was laying there bleeding, and I had to make a decision. How am I going to get to the hospital? I knew I was in bad shape. Greg and I decided either A, Greg will ride down and get the car and come back to me, or B, I'll try and ride down with him. So what we did was we tucked my arm inside my jersey, zipped it up, and we wrapped arm warmers that I had in my back jersey pocket around my arm to act as a splint. We tied it tightly and I jumped back on my bike after doing some repair work just simply to get the wheels to roll. I then started off down the hill with Greg at a very slow pace. and quickly realized that I was not going to be able to continue riding my bike. I felt shock setting in, I felt lightheaded, I felt like I was going to throw up and or pass out. I then got off my bike on the side of the road, could not unclip my left leg because the pain was so excruciating. Greg manually unclipped my foot. I lay down on the ground on the side of a mountain road. I elevated my feet on top of my handlebars so that I could help with some of the shock that was setting in. And the most unbelievable thing happened to me. I saw a silhouette of Greg riding into the distance, and as he rode away, I was scared to death. I heard silence. Not just any silence, not the silence that you hear at a party or at Christmas or Thanksgiving when the family just stops talking and it's awkward. It was a deafening silence, a type of silence that I could hear myself think. I could hear my thoughts and what was going on in my head. It was so deafening silent that I was lost in fear. I quickly started asking myself, am I about to die? And if I die, am I ready to meet the big man upstairs? And the answer that I said was, no, I'm not ready to die. I haven't lived my life to my fullest. I haven't helped other people. I haven't expressed my love in a way that can touch and shine for the whole world to see. I had been living in victimhood. I had been living a life that was poor me. I made a decision at that moment that I was going to change. I was no longer going to live as a victim, but I was going to live as an empowered individual to share my love, to share my gift, and to share my life with all those around me so that by sharing my life, they might feel inspired to do the same thing. Greg's gone, goes to get the car, and while he's gone, I sat there on the side of the hill. The first thought that crept into my mind is, I need to talk to somebody. I am alone, I am scared, and I need help. I pulled my cell phone out of my pocket and I had no signal. I was reduced to laying on the side of the hill and just simply being present within myself allowed me the time to think about the changes that I was going to make if I were to continue living. As I was bleeding, as bones were broken, I found the courage to muster up the will to start living that day. The day that started off as a simple bike ride racing to the top turned into an epic wreck that will change my life forever. I believe that all of you are crazy enough to change the world just like I desire to. I want to challenge you to not have to experience a massive wreck. I want you to live an inspired life starting today, to be the best version of you, to be an inspired individual, to love yourself and to love others. And by sharing your love and giving your love freely to all of those around you, you will find tremendous joy and happiness in your life. I hope that all of us will dream big, that we will create and we will live the life that we desire. It's in every one of us. And as Marianne Williamson said, as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. You can live your life and let your life shine and be awesome.